and welcome back to my Boxer. More maintenance work needed on this one. The other day I took it off of its centre stand, and when I had a look around doing my little pre-ride check, I noticed there's some fork oil here and I've got a bit of a fork oil leak. Now that's not actually a problem so much on a tele lever front end. The reason that's not so much of a problem is these forks do realistically nothing in the work of suspension. It's all done via this front shock underneath here. So you can ride with them leaking. However, it does mean that there's fluid leaking everywhere, which can contaminate your brake pads and everything else. So what I'm going to do today is replace this fork seal. Now, there is some good news. From my understanding, and this is where I've read and kind of had a look through the manual, I don't have to take the entire fork leg out to replace that fork seal. What should be able to be possible is this handlebar assembly comes off, and I put it off to one side. I undo the top nut, which secures the top of the fork into the top yoke. That then should slide down. I should be able to twist slightly, and then I should be able to pull the whole stanchion out. And that will give me access to this fork seal to be able to pop that out and put new ones in, which I've picked up off of eBay. So that's in theory. I say I've never done this. Don't really know if it's guaranteed to work like that, but that's what I've read and understood. So the first job is to take this handlebar off at the top. So this is, I believe, a 6 mil hex. So that. You can also see here how my handlebars are a bit knackered and I'd like to replace them. Ha! There is also this nut here on the R, has a retaining nut at the bottom, so we'll have to do that one differently. I believe it's the retaining nut that holds on this RPM gauge. Right, now this, and then hang down. And I understand there's some kind of cap that needs to come off here. Let's see if I can get that cap off. There we go. And underneath the cap, there is that top nut. Find out what size that is. 20. Whew, that was lucky. Okay. Oh. Right, so it's a 22 on this lower point and a 14 on the top. Let me just... So if you look just here, this 22 will slot onto there, allowing you then to use a socket on the 14 at the top and make it work. So if you look, all I've done is unscrewed this top nut, and then I can pull this whole assembly down, and then in theory I should be able to rotate everything in such a way that this completely slops out and puts oil everywhere. Let me get a cloth and clean that up in a second. About here, so you can see I got just a bit of room by doing this to slide everything out. So what I'm going to hopefully be able to do now is pick out the two seals, and I should really get my screwdrivers for this. Okay, try and lever this outer, I'm trying to think what the word is for this. Is this dust shield, dust seal, I think is the word. My God, it's well in there. Ah, so that the old dust seal, a bit torn and worse for wear, but not looking terrible as I expected. Ah, there is quite a bit of gunge as I'm cleaning round, so I'm thinking if I take out this retaining pin first, circlip, lose you, but there we go. Right, so that's the circlip. Again, it's filthy, so I'm going to give that a clean. That's really a lot cleaner. I can see why these forks were possibly leaking with all the gunge that's in here. Now, carefully, he says, okay, I finally got it out. It was a case of levering around the edge continuously all the way around to get it out with the screwdriver. And you can see how this one has just rotted there, and it's split here when I was taking it out. Bit kind of grimy on the underside. You can see my leverage points around there where it's not perfect anymore on the bottom. But this inner seal isn't as in terrible shape, but I think it's where this top here has where it's perished. Split there as well. So some of it was me on the bottom side, but the top side was perished in there. So that's out now. What we'll do is we'll give this a good clean. I also have a spacer ring here, which I'm going to take out and give a good clean. That's pretty foul. It's that way up. This hard edge and a soft edge. Now this fork oil is pretty manky. I'm going to add a few mil just to top it up a touch. But other than that, I'm not going to do much because, as I mentioned earlier, this fork oil doesn't actually do anything other than lubricate. It's not part of the suspension system. After all the trials and tribulations, I'm going to get this now in there, which is a tight fit. And it's really struggling to go down. I think I've got the ring all the way around. Let's try and get that fitted. Circlip. I think our circlip is in place. Let it click. We've got the new dust shield that goes on top here. First, I'm going to add a few cc's of fluid to replace everything I've dribbled out everywhere. There we go. few cc's of fork oil, and then get this into place, which, oh, crikey. That's a stiff one. Okay, but that's pushed into place now. Then fork should start to slot back in. Now, before we go any further, I'll bring you up here. I'll rotate this around. Just here you'll see is a little Allen. And it is a small size that we're hoping isn't blocked. Oh, good. That turns. Right, it is a 3mm Allen. The purpose of this 3mm Allen, as I understand it, is an air bleed. So that when we push down, we're not going to immediately blow our seals by overpressuring. So what I'm going to do is just unscrew this all the way. There's a little washer nut thing on it I don't want to lose. Word I'm looking for. Not washer nut thing. Sealing washer, rubber washer there. So now I've got that off. What I'm going to want to do is slowly get this down. See, there's a bit of oil all over this fork, so I'm going to give that a clean. So I've slid it all down with this disconnected, giving the fork a clean as it goes down. Try not to go over the bad stuff. Now, before I get too far down, I'm going to reinsert my bleed screw. So that is back under the right amount. So that when I pull this up, there'll be a bit of resistance. And I can start tightening this top piece up. Top nut is here. Now we slide that back up to position. And then that just needs to be tightened up. Give everything a good clean. And then hopefully that seal has been replaced successfully. All I've got to do now is tighten everything up and put it back the way it was. So I'm not going to make you watch that. That was the replacement of the fork seal. The other leg is exactly the same, so I'm not going to walk you through any of that. The other one isn't leaking, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've tested this one. All looks good. Everything went. I've compressed it quite a few times. Everything seems fine. Nothing's leaking. So big takeaway hints. These are minor annoying. You probably won't have them, which means the leverage to get around to lever the old one out is a bit more difficult. There's a lot of huffing and puffing. I think a hammer and a socket just to drive it in is good because it's a really solid fit. Trying to get the new seal in there. The bleed cap at the top for the air bleed is important, so you don't put the whole system under too much pressure as you're sliding the whole tube down. So that's worth bearing in mind. Other than that, I've spent an hour doing it. I reckon now I know what I'm doing. I could probably do it in about 25-30 minutes. And that's pretty much it. The box is back up and rolling, and I'm happy that there's nothing currently wrong with it. So we carry on enjoying it for a bit more. All right, thanks very much. Anyone's got any questions or any or anything I've done stupid, let me know. But for the sake of, I think it's like £10 on eBay and a top up with a little bit of oil, this was a nice easy maintenance job that's done. All right, thanks very much. Cheers.